Mr. Swalwell.
Ambassador Sondland, you were told by the President and others to not show up. You showed up. I think that says a lot about you, and I think history will look kindly on you doing that. But there are consequences to that, and just a couple hours ago, President Trump was asked about you, and he said, "I don't know him well. I have not spoken to him much. This is not a man I know well." Is that true?
It really depends on what you mean by know well. We are not close friends. No, we have a professional, cordial working relationship.
And in that working relationship, he knows who you are?
Yes.
And he has spoken to you often?
What's often?
Well, you said at least 20 times.
Okay, if that's often, then it's often.
And you donated $1 million to his inaugural committee, is that right?
I bought a VVIP ticket to the inauguration.
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's a lot of money.
And after that, the president makes you ambassador to the European Union. Eventually, the ambassador to Ukraine is removed, and as you told us in your deposition, you become a central figure as it relates to Ukraine. That's a pretty big responsibility, right?
Well, I don't know that I said I was a central figure. I was one of several people who were tasked to work on the Ukraine file.
And would you ever, in that big responsibility, take any actions that were not authorized by President Trump?
Well, by President Trump or the leadership in the State Department.
Were you ever hauled into the leadership of the State Department for any actions you had taken around your work on Ukraine?
No.
As to Rudy Giuliani, on May 23rd, the president told you, talk to Rudy. You talked to him a couple times. You, as you told us in September, talked to the president a couple times. Did the president ever say to you, stop talking to Rudy?
No.
Did he ever say, don't any longer talk to Rudy?
No.
On Ukraine, you said that you were playing the hand you were dealt. President Trump was the dealer, wasn't he?
President Trump was what?
The dealer. In your metaphor, you were playing the hand you were dealt. The dealer is President Trump. Is that right?
I'll recharacterize your question by saying we followed the direction of the president because that was the only pathway to working with Ukraine.
On page 4 of your testimony, you said, given what we knew at the time, what we were asked to do did not appear to be wrong. And you would agree now, Ambassador, knowing what you know now, what you did not know at the time, there are some things around Ukraine that were wrong.
I agree.
So let's take out any leveraging of security assistance over the Ukrainians and a White House visit. Would you agree that it is wrong for the President of the United States to ask the leader of a foreign government to investigate the President of the United States' political opponent?
Yes.
Would you agree that in addition to making that request for an investigation, leveraging a visit at the White House that a foreign government leader desperately needs is also wrong?
Leveraging in what respect?
A meeting at the White House. If someone really needs a meeting at the White House to show their legitimacy to their people, that leveraging that meeting and asking for an investigation would be wrong.
Well, to be candid, Congressman, every meeting at the White House has conditions placed on it. I've never worked on a meeting at the White House that doesn't have a host of conditions placed.
But if one of those conditions is to investigate a political opponent, you would agree that would be wrong?
The political opponent, yes, but making announcements or investigations per se, no.
And if you asked a foreign government leader to investigate your political opponent, leveraged a White House meeting, and leveraged security assistance, in this hypothetical, you would agree all three of those are wrong?
In the hypothetical, yes, I would agree.
Now, you, before becoming an ambassador, worked as a businessman, and I presume you worked on a lot of deals, is that right?
Correct.
Involving millions of dollars?
Correct.
You work for a guy now who wrote a book called Art of the Deal, is that right?
I do.
And State Department employees have told us that they don't want to make legal definitions around what occurred with the White House meeting being leveraged against the investigations, but you plainly call it a quid pro quo, is that right?
I did.
And finally, one final hypothetical. If someone walks through those two doors wearing rain boots, a raincoat, and holding an umbrella with raindrops falling off of them, Do you have to see outside that it's raining to presume or conclude that it might be raining outside?
I understand your hypothetical.
I yield back.
Thank you.